welcome to this best of 5 between Miezekotze and Wryza. We're starting with Apotheosis here, and after the first technical difficulties we're finally in game between those two ladies. So, spawning to the top left hand side in purple it's Miezekotze, and to the bottom right hand side in green we have Wryza. And actually the in-game music is a little bit loud for me. If it is too loud for you, please tell me in the chat. Oh, and Miezekotze already going for the typical Apotheosis cheese, we might say. Going for the gold base first, while Wryza is actually trying to take the normal standard natural base. So this actually means that Miezekotze's mineral income will just get boosted in a few minutes, which will probably allow her to, or not probably allow, it will allow her to actually build quite a lot of links and maybe just overwhelm her opponent with floods and floods of links. But actually I think we've already seen this strategy used by some other Zerg who tried to play against Wryza, and it didn't quite work out because the initial push of Zerglings just wasn't enough. It might have actually been Sono Kazri here, but don't name me on it, I'm not quite certain. So Miezekotze already transferring a few drones. She knows that the hatch is going to finish in just a few seconds. So she already sends these drones so that they will arrive at the minerals once the hatchery actually pops. And thus her mineral income will get the boost we were just talking about. So the only thing she now has to do is get link speed and maybe even a baneling nest. She actually really wants to have that. And then just starting to produce mass links in order to overwhelm her opponent, who will just have only the possibility to produce as much lava, or as many lava actually, as Miezekotze does, but not as many links, because she will just be missing the resources for it. So there's the baneling nest incoming. Seems as if Miezekotze wants to go for a quick first game, maybe because, as I've already mentioned before the game, she's a little bit sick still, so yeah, maybe just doesn't want to go into awfully long macro games. Or it's just the map that tipped her off, and that's the reason why she wants to get into this game, or she wants to get actually out of this game as fast as possible. So Wryza has now realized what her opponent has done, seeing the gold base over here with the first few scouting links. So she should actually prepare accordingly. She's already getting her first baneling. She already has it there. And I think that is actually the same strategy she used against her other opponent, whoever it might have been, to just surprise them. So while the opponent was just attacking her own base, she just counterattacked with a lot of banelings and links into the gold base and actually killed almost all of the workers over there. So there's Miezekotze running. She has just passed by most of the links, and now the Banes just explode inside Miezekotze's mineral line, killing 9 workers there. And now actually all of the advantage that Miezekotze has had for the last few minutes, having the gold base, just vanished and is almost gone. So great move here by Wryza, who actually just knows what to do against that type of cheese. She actually, we really see that she actually has a very well thought out plan for this kind of scenario. So yeah, that was just a great hit. Miezekotze just transferring more and more probes, more and more drones, sorry, from her main base, and even reproducing some of them. But of course she now has to be careful not to have too few units left over in order to fend off Wryza's next push. Wryza just working, you know, I don't know if I really like these cocoons over here, but actually she just has enough links in order to keep Miezekotze busy. Great baneling hit there on Miezekotze. So most of Wryza's links have actually already died. I don't know if she has realized that there are still so many banes over there, but that's actually the worst baneling connection that she could get, just wasting all of the banelings onto the queen, and then just getting but then again Miezekotze just getting one baneling off, or actually 2 banelings blown off herself on just 1 link. But Miezekotze still having the better income, still producing links like crazy, but so is Wryza. 20 Zerglings in the making, 6 more now for Miezekotze, while the rest of them is just crossing the map. So here's the first engagement. Miezekotze is probably going to win it since she just has more links over here. Wryza, I've just heard it, or was it Miezekotze? No, Miezekotze is trying to morph more banelings over here, retreats for the meantime so that the banelings have some time to morph before she will actually just go in again. This is a very dangerous encounter here for Wryza. Has to be careful not to waste too many lings onto these banelings, because if she loses them too close to her own base, the game is just immediately over. But now, of course, she's the one having the banelings, while Miezekotze just has to retreat probably once more, trying to take out one baneling with as few lings as possible, thus just keeping the advantage of having more lings in the early game. But yeah, this is just like crazy. Wryza in the meantime just managed to get out a roach warren, trying to produce some roaches now so that she will be able to trade more cost efficiently against her opponent. But if Miezekotze just rallies over enough lings, she will probably be able to just overwhelm her opponent. In the meantime, both players just have taken their third base as well, and here's the big push incoming. Miezekotze just tries to get the surround on all the roaches, but there's lings as well and more roaches incoming from the right hand side. Miezekotze has to retreat for now, and of course from now on just 7 more roaches on the way for Wryza here, and once they pop and are out defending this natural entrance over here, I think Miezekotze just has to retreat and also try to get herself into something else. In the meantime, Wryza has managed to get a big drone lead, so if Miezekotze actually has to back out completely, I think this game will be will already be going to Wryza immediately. So Miezekotze just trying to get in from 2 different angles, it seems. It just tries a good run by, but all the Banes were standing there, so unfortunately Miezekotze's plan didn't really work out. Now she just tries to surround all of the roaches, actually gets all of them with a hell of a lot of lings, so that's actually the best engagement that Miezekotze could get with, yeah, just surrounding all of these roaches. Gone now. 2 more incoming, 3 more incoming right now, but yeah, the lings now just wrecking everything that's inside the mineral line of Wryza. 14 drones have already died, more are just going to die in the main base. That's a good position for that one lonely roach, but it alone won't really help out. Now just killing the queen as well, also killing more workers inside the mineral line. The rest of the lings just get rallied across the map, and although it looked quite okay for quite some time for Wryza, one wrong engagement over at her natural entrance just cost her the game at that point. She still has a working base over here that Miezekotze doesn't really know about, but there it is. GG, Miezekotze takes the first game. Welcome back on Galactic Process. It's the second game of the series, spawning to the bottom right, no, to the top right hand corner in purple. It's our player from Risk playing for Germany. It's Miezekotze. And to the bottom left hand side in green, playing for the US. Clanless, at least on EU, it's Wryza. Actually can't quite remember if Wryza has a team or not. What if maybe someone can just check using the FSL website, because that's where you actually get all this information, and thus I just sneakily placed some advertisement into my own cast. So, yeah, both ladies just going for a hatch first, actually, which is quite interesting. I would never do it against Suno Kazri, because she actually likes to go early lings on this map, since the distances from one natural entrance to the other are rather short. So, yeah, a lot of players just enjoy going for early ling pressure here. But in this case, both players just chose the almost exact same opening, and that's why we see that a lot of timings are almost quite even. Wryza just being a little bit behind with the spawning pool, but that just won't be a deciding factor in this series, I feel, because 4 seconds actually sometimes can make all the difference, but not if your lings also have to cross the map completely. I mean, you would have to hit such a small timing window, it's ridiculous. So it's probably not going to make a big difference here. Okay, spawning pool now finished for Miezekotze. It's going to produce the circling speed as soon as possible. Same is probably going to happen for Wryza as well. She just needs a little bit more time. Yeah, and this is how we can actually study quite nicely how little timings just add up bit by bit. So the spawning pool was like only 4 seconds later for Wryza, but now if we have a look, it's almost 9 to 10 seconds with a metabolic boost. And like I said before, these little differences just can add up. And at a certain time, suddenly what a player has seems to be somehow magically more than your opponent. Because you were just microing and macroing, actually macroing in this case, a little bit better here and there and at several places, which just made all the difference in the end. So we have the scouting link for Miezekotze not really getting through, so she won't really get a vision of the main base, which I guess she would really love to have, but of course she's already seen the timing on the hatchery, so she knows that it also was a hatch first as her own, so she can assume that it's probably going to be a Link-Baneling war once more. This time around, Wryza actually going for the Roach Warren a lot earlier, so maybe she just wants to skip the Link-Bane war if possible. Of course, she has the necessary tools in order to defend it if she realizes what her opponent is doing. Right now, she just sees that a lot of links are crossing the map. Same thing actually with Miezekotze here, trying to get into a Roach Warren as soon as possible, so she also doesn't really want to go into a Link-Baneling war if she can avoid it. So yeah, now she actually sees that there's a Roach Warren already done for Wryza, so this is now actually going to be an interesting decision. What's she going to do? She's not producing more links, that's just Wryza doing the thing, because she actually might have thought that her opponent was again committing to a lot of links. That's actually maybe the best thing that could have actually happened to Miezekotze, just realizing that her own Roach Warren is a lot later. Miezekotze decides to go for a new hatchery that Wryza has actually scouted instantaneously, so Wryza will probably have the possibility to maybe just tear it down, because Miezekotze just doesn't have that many links out at the moment. She's probably trying to wait for her roaches in order to build a big amount of them once the roach tap gets finished, and then all the rest of the units will pop. Okay, one Baneling over here just trying to chase the links, gets one kind of okay-ish hit, but still a lot of links are left. She also has one Baneling up at the top of the ramp. She just hopes probably for these links to walk up the ramp so that she will just be able to throw it in and just make them all explode in an instant. Four drones have died in the meantime, but it's not really that important. I mean, she will have her hatchery done in just a few seconds, will be able to saturate it. Wryza has just started her own hatch as soon as she realized that her opponent took a third base as well. She doesn't want to fall behind economically, but that also means that she doesn't rely on some sort of roach timing attack. So in the meantime, we have Miezekotze just trying to make the best out of the remaining links and banelings she's just morphing. Maybe doing some damage here. She knows that her links and banelings won't really do her that good once the roach tech hits on both sides. So she just wanted to make something happen. In the meantime, it doesn't really work quite out for now, because Wryza just manages to have more roaches out early on. The problem with that, of course, building these early roaches normally is that you won't have as many drones as your opponent, but in this case it's actually not even the big problem for Wryza right now. She's actually making quite good work of her lava with producing enough drones, and also now having a small little roach force just crossing the map, while Miezekotze might be going for a little run by here, maybe just accidentally, but she's probably seen her, she's actually seen the roaches moving out with the overload, so she knows exactly what she's doing. So while the roaches are on their way, we have Miezekotze just running inside the main base, and there's no forces here whatsoever. Only one queen that tries to inject a little more. Okay, queen gets killed off, probably the roach as well. We also have some links down here, but they get cleared quite easily. But also the roach attack over here, while Wryza is busy defending at her own base, the roaches just A-move into the big concave on top of the natural ramp of Miezekotze. So yeah, now actually Miezekotze is looking quite okay. I mean, the saturation is not that good at the third base of both players, but Miezekotze again managed to kill 4 more workers. So we're at an even worker count right now, but it seems as if Miezekotze already has the bigger roach amount. So yeah, actually only a little bit. So it seems as if both players are kinda even at the moment. Does Miezekotze already have the roach speed? It seems like it. Yeah, she does. So the same with Wryza. I actually saw... No, Wryza forgot it. So that's actually the unfortunate thing here. Wryza doesn't have the roach speed for now. So actually Miezekotze in quite a big advantage here. This can actually do a lot of damage if Miezekotze has not realized that her opponent took... actually, she sees the creep, but she seems to either think that a third base might... No, she knows that a third base is not over here, so she actually really wants to avoid most of Wryza's forces, just sneaking in her roaches from the right-hand side and surprising her, maybe even catching her off guard and getting the big concave up on the natural ramp, which was actually the best thing to do. So once Wryza moves over here, she just has to fight into the concave if she doesn't want to lose most of her forces, and now even get sandwiched by the reinforcing roaches over here. So if Miezekotze just focuses most of these ravages, she won't even have to care about biles anymore, but she doesn't even need to do that. The numbers of roaches are just overwhelming, even with the reinforcements and the defender's advantage of Wryza. Wryza's roaches just get taken out almost immediately and pretty easily by Miezekotze. Miezekotze just still has an amazing amount of roaches left. So yeah, now just walks into the third base, knows that the third base, of course, is the most important to tear down if you can. Yeah, Wryza just so desperate that she also produces a few amount of links, because she just doesn't seem to get, or was just misclicking. I don't actually know she has enough resources for roaches, so don't know why she's producing links. Maybe these were just leftover links from the start. But yeah, just these few roaches alone won't do it, especially not if you just drop them in. The most important thing that Wryza would have to do at the moment is just trying to get more roaches up at a certain point, just abandoning the third base, but at that point it doesn't even matter anymore, since Miezekotze just has the overwhelming numbers, 91 supply to 21. GG, and Miezekotze takes the second game for 2-0. We're on Thrust for the third match of this series. Spawning to the bottom right hand position in purple, it's Miezekotze leading 2-0. And to the top right hand side in green we have our player Wryza. And she needs to win 3 games in a row in order to take this series home, which is probably going to be a bit difficult. The first map was looking quite good for Wryza for a lot of moments, but then unfortunately Miezekotze managed to break through all of her roach defenses. The second game actually Miezekotze took quite convincingly, so let's see if Wryza has something up her sleeves in order to defeat her opponent. So both will actually scalp their opponent quite early on. The overlords will just handshake right over that little canyon here with a lava down there. Oh, actually quite nice. So now of course both players know that they spawned vertically. So Miezekotze this time around, again, just going for the hatch first. It's quite typically done on this map because the distances from one natural base to the other are just enormous, even if your spawn is vertically, or even if you spawn vertically. So that's what I actually wanted to say. So Miezekotze just rearranging the flight path of her overlord. While Wryza doesn't. There you see the little differences between players. Miezekotze already having the mental capacity to just send her overlord towards the third base of her opponent, while Wryza is still not really realizing that this overlord just takes a route that's actually not really important for her. She could actually use this overlord a little bit better by just sending it somewhere else where it will gain her more important information. This is actually quite interesting. Wryza actually going for an early third here, just trying to get into the late game. I mean, if she actually gets there, if she will actually have the possibility to fend off potential early attacks that Miezekotze is going to throw at her, and I think she really wants to throw them at her, then of course she will have the better income in the mid-game, which will allow her to eventually overwhelm her opponent. But of course, if Miezekotze scouts that, and she might do so in about a minute with this overlord, or even earlier with this ling over here, I mean, maybe now even realizing that's a hell of a lot few drones you have down here. I mean, you've just planted down your baneling nest. There's not really a good saturation you have at your natural base. Come on, you must have done something with these. And she even rallied the ling over to the third base, but unfortunately it gets killed before it will provide her with the necessary information. But yeah, the overlord just making its way over to the third base, and it's, like I said, is going to scout it about a minute later on. In the meantime, I think Miezekotze is actually preparing for the push, just producing more and more links. She actually knows what's up. She doesn't need to see the third base to know that it's there with all the information she got. And she actually even takes a quite aggressive hatchery here, planting the third hatchery towards her opponent and not in the back pocket, where you normally want to take your third base, away from your opponent, if you want to have an easier defense with it. So yeah, Miezekotze now on her way, just rallying a lot of units across the map. Only a few links available for Wryza. She has finally got her Baneling Nest up, and now she's going to realize what's happened. Yeah, but this base she will probably never be able to hold, but it seems as if Miezekotze just wants to distract her with a few links over here, while actually having the main force parked outside the natural base, now running in. And if she manages to work this quite well, this will actually be game already here once Wryza's links just explode, or even most of her workers here, and not really getting the hits with the Banelings off she really wanted to have. So actually this was actually quite a bad engagement here. I mean, Miezekotze tried to explode a lot of Banelings into the workers, but unfortunately she just made them explode by hand at a location where not a lot of drones were at that point in time. Still, she has a lot of possibilities to produce more units, but yeah, Miezekotze just getting in with more units over here. Wryza has already managed to produce a lot of links herself. Has to be careful not to walk into that Banes, morphing a lot of Banes now off her own, but in the meantime, Miezekotze's links are so much in overwhelming numbers. Now she just has to be careful not to walk straight into these Banelings, but she already has some links parked over here, so that a few Banelings might even explode into these two over here. Okay, now realize that there are still a few more Banelings left, just makes one explode into one Ling. Now just walks over to the third base, kills off the queen that was just remade, and will probably even have the possibility to take the base down. No, okay, more Lings being produced by Wryza in the meantime. So, whoa, Wryza just needs to explode these by hand. Bam! Just killing off the biggest part of Miezekotze's army right there, and now actually having the overwhelming numbers of links herself, but there are more Banelings incoming. So this is really intense, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the amount of macro and micro you have to manage to do at the same point in time. I mean, if you even manage to do the micro quite well, but you just can't really do the macro because you're just not paying attention to your queens, not really injecting, your push will just, either your push or your defense will just die once you get out of lava. And that's actually what Miezekotze finally managed to do, just taking out most of the queens here at the third base, even now at the second base. No more lava injects for Wryza, only inside the main base, while Miezekotze is just being on top of her injects mostly, and also having the 3 base injects available as well. So she will just have the... It's just a matter of time actually, unless of course Wryza just gets the miracle Baneling hit and kills off most of Miezekotze's forces with like 1 or 2 Banelings. I mean, that might be able to get her back into the game, but unless she doesn't make that sort of thing happen, I think Miezekotze is just going to overwhelm her bit by bit, just second after second, but just having the better lava inject and the better production capabilities here. So we'll see. Wryza has finally managed to get up more queens, so she will again be able to at least produce more lava than before. That was actually quite a nice Baneling hit. That's just getting almost all of Miezekotze's Banelings over here. But now all of the forces of Wryza has already died. Baneling just gets hits into the queen, marches right inside. The rest of the links just clean up the mineral line of Wryza over here. More links and Banelings, probably, no, that's just an overlord, just come in. Now even Miezekotze will be able to tear down that natural base over here, making it even more difficult for Wryza to defend. She's down 20 supply, and it seems, ladies and gentlemen, as if Miezekotze has managed to finally break through. Last queen dies, a few links just take care of the rest of the Banelings. Wryza has to GG out, and Miezekotze takes the series with a convincing 3-0.